Welcome to a special Off the Books episode of the All the Book Show. Each week we've been checking in with a different director throughout the Southern Tier Library System. Last week I had my whole senior staff on, and that was fun. And we talked a lot about the Minions movie for some reason. I don't want to talk about that again. But this week I'm joined by my good friend Melanie Miller, director of the Box of Books over in Alfred. Melanie, how the heck are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I was curious as we were leading into this, and I was looking at your Skype username and all that, just trying to discern some facts about your past. Number one was age, which we settled, and that's fine. I am older, and I can handle that. But I wondered if, when you were a kid, if people ever called you Smelanie.
No, they did not.
Really? Jeez, what kind of school did you go to? Nerds?
Yeah, a nerd school.
That checks out.
Yeah, it does check out. No, nobody ever called me Smelanie. I don't think, not to my face anyway.
Okay.
I was just Mel to everyone.
Well, I mean, that's cool though. That's like a cool nickname.
Is it? I don't know.
I think so. Yeah. Oh, you don't know? Oh, is it? Oh, really? Anyway, all right. Just Mel.
I have such a cool name.
I was the one who gave everybody nicknames, and I don't.
So I would have been Smelanie.
I don't think I would have given you a mean nickname. No, it was more affectionate nicknames. I probably would have called you Smelanie a time or two. But anyway, because I was the nickname giver, I never really had a nickname. My college friend Jesse called me Guns sometimes because my last name's Gunn,
I like that.
But it doesn't really gel with my whole thing. So
I don't know. Maybe I think it does. I think it could go. I think it could work.
Okay. All right. Well, we bring it back then. That's
okay.
That's fine.
We're bringing it back. We're bringing back Guns.
Okay. How's quarantine treating you?
I
hear that sigh, and I second that sigh.
Yeah, some days are good. Some days are real good. I feel really productive and I'm on top of things. And other days I'm like, okay, I just want to stay in bed all day and hide.
Yeah.
But for the most part, good. It's a big adjustment, adjusting to working at home while managing homeschool and all of those other things. And it is hard not to be at the library and connecting face to face with staff and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree. Are you a homebody generally? I mean, are you going out on the town a lot, or are you mostly just hanging at home?
No, I'm mostly just hanging out at home. Okay. I am a homebody. Right. I love being at home. The one thing I have missed the most is my sister and I are super close, and we would always try to get together a few times just, to go out to dinner, just the two of us, once a month, without kids, without husbands. Mm-hmm. And so that's been really hard, not having that connection, but it'll be worth it.
Are you the type? Now, I've watched a lot of your live videos from the Box of Books page.
Oh, good.
Are you? Do you hate doing the live videos?
It's hard for me. When I normally do story time, I ask a lot of questions of the families and stuff, and so it's hard not to have that immediate feedback.
Yeah, that's true.
Conversationally, and when you're interacting with a child and you're like, hey, let's count these ducks together or whatever, I just have to pretend that they're answering, so that's kind of hard. It's
like Blue's Clues. You're basically the guy from Blue's Clues, just being like, can you count? Good.
Yes,
that's your thing.
That's
now?
Exactly what I am, and I like your comparison better than my husband's. My husband said I was like the new Barney.
But Barney no, that doesn't gel because Barney always has kids with him.
Oh, okay.
He gets instant feedback from kids, so that's not a good comparison.
Okay.
So you tell him. You tell Mike I said that.
I'm Steve from Blue's Clues.
Yeah, that's much better.
Yeah. So it's a lot like that, and that's been hard for me. The live videos aren't super. It's weird. It's awkward, but
sure.
I'm weird and awkward, so I feel like.
It's a perfect blend then. That's great.
Yeah.
Have you set yourself up? Now the answers to this question have varied. I'm always interested to hear about this, but have you set yourself up a specific workplace? Is this when I'm in this table or this room, I'm working? Have you done that, or are you just sort of anything goes?
Yeah. So my husband and I both have a desk. We have a room in our house that used to be a dining room before they added on to our kitchen.
Okay.
And so we it's kind of like a middle like catch-all room. We both have a desk in there.
Oh, nice.
And so that's my workspace. But a lot of times I find myself working at my kitchen table. I have big windows out here, so I just stare out the window a lot.
Nice.
Watch squirrels.
All contemplative with a mug of coffee or something?
No, not with coffee. I'm not a coffee drinker.
Oh, okay. Tea? You like tea?
I have water right now.
Okay. Well, that's kind of boring, but that's...
It is boring. It is
fine.
boring.
As I mentioned before, I set up, we have this weird back room on our house. It's like we have a house, you know, and then at some point they decided they wanted an extra room, but it's not really like incorporated into the house. It's almost like they built a separate little structure and then put a tiny hallway to it. So it always feels like not part of the house. And so we don't use it a ton. And so we set that up for a little office for me. And after working back here for like a month plus now, I can confirm that there is an entire ecosystem living within the walls of this structure out back.
Ooh.
So every once in a while I have to turn around and sort of like bang on the walls to get the chipmunks or whatever to like
settle down,
stop having like a biodome inside there. I don't know what they're doing, but
yeah. Well, as you know from my Facebook post, my desk is very close to my basement, the basement door, and that's where the cat box is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you hear some cat scratch. Hear some cat scratching?
My cats are very regular.
Well, that's good.
And they're
quarantine diets. What are you going to do? You know?
Yeah, they're quarantine diet, but their schedule seems to coincide with my storytime schedule. So always fun.
Okay. Well, it must be something very relaxing about it for them. That's great.
Yeah.
Usually Eric and I talk a little bit about what we've been reading. So why don't we open up our bookmarks here and see what we've been up to?
All right.
How about you? Why don't you start? What's been on your list?
Okay, so I'm the world's worst library professional.
Okay.
I had never read Anne of Green Gables before.
I've never read Anne of Green Gables, so.
Oh, really?
So I have a real there's a real hole in my reading background where there's a lot of things where like everybody's read that and I haven't read it.
Yes, I feel the same way. I feel like maybe it's a conspiracy. Like everybody's kind of lying. Like they're all like, "Yeah, I read that," but they really didn't.
Yeah, or maybe they like watched the movie and read like the illustrated classic, you know, and like
yes,
that doesn't really count. I've read a ton. Did you like the old illustrated classics? Did you ever read those?
No.
Okay. So I have read a lot of those, but to sit down and read the actual book. So anyway, you're reading Anne of Green Gables?
Yeah, so I decided to work through that series. It started because my daughters and I discovered Anne with an E on Netflix.
Sure.
And we binged the entire thing. We all loved it. And I thought, oh, what a great way to like incorporate the show and some reading. So I ordered us the box set of the books and started it, and I found that it's very good for right now. Like, I can't read anything too dark right now. Mm-hmm. So, and Anne of Green Gables is good. So I'm on the second book now, Anne of Avonlea.
Okay.
And because I read American Dirt.
Oh yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Amazing. But
yeah. Okay, I haven't read it.
That's like a
heavy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm trying to read more fluffy stuff right now.
Okay. Are you, I know Mike, your husband, likes sci-fi and all that. Are you a sci-fi or superhero kind of? No, you don't.
No.
Not a fan. Okay.
No.
All right.
Nope,
I
definitely
suspected your response, but I was not prepared to how much against it you were when you answered that question. Well, I only asked because my reading has veered a lot towards reading comfort food as well.
Yeah.
But mine has been like Star Trek books and graphic novels and that sort of thing. So I've been doing a lot of that. I have almost 2 years ago now, my brother and a friend of ours, Graham, we decided to read Star Trek and Star Wars books as like a little book club thing. Yeah. And now we've read like 30 plus books together. My friend Michael joined, so there's like 4 of us. And like every month we alternate between Star Trek and Star Wars. And like, have you ever tried to have like a book club in real life, like not a work thing, just your own personal book club?
No.
See, because I have many a times, and it's always like 1-2 books, and then you can never get anything going again.
Yeah, my sister and I always talk about that we want to start a book club, but we've never like actually fleshed it out and got it working. Yeah.
So I think because it's so simple and because they're like easy breezy books to read, somehow we've managed to just like read 30 plus books together. So
That's incredible.
I just finished a Star Trek book called Face of the Unknown, which is the original series. That's Captain Kirk. Do you know who Captain Kirk is?
Yes, I know
Okay.
who
All
Captain
right,
Kirk
classic
is.
Captain Kirk. All right, so I read that and it was a lot of fun. And then, are you an audiobook fan?
I am an audiobook fan, a
You,
big audiobook fan.
have you listened to any good audiobooks recently?
No, not recently.
It's hard. Like it's hard when you're not. When I'm
When I'm not
driving or
driving, yeah.
yeah, yep.
And I know I'm late. I'm late to the podcast game, but about a year ago, I discovered podcasts, and
Uh-huh.
so my audiobook consumption took a nosedive
Yeah.
after I found podcasts.
Agreed. Well, I listened to an audiobook of. Are you a Michael Crichton fan? Have you read any Michael Crichton books?
I read Jurassic Park,
Okay. Yeah.
but that's it.
Didn't do it for you. Okay. I mean, Eric's a huge Crichton fan, so he's read a lot more than I have. But I like his stuff, and the only Michael Crichton audiobook that we had on Overdrive was Dragon Teeth. Have you heard of Dragon
Oh
Teeth?
yes, yep.
And this was actually very good. Like I didn't expect to like it as much as I did, but it's about a rivalry, like paleontologists who had a rivalry in the 1800s trying to get like
Ooh.
dinosaur bones out of Montana. And so it reads a little bit more like a Western adventure. And I was just, it hit me just right. So it's Michael Crichton's Dragon Teeth. And this is one that was posthumous. Like I think his wife just sort of found it in his archives. But I thought that was really good.
Yeah. No, Jurassic Park. I remember reading after the movie came out.
Yeah.
I remember like wanting to read the book.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was
That was it. Okay.
it's not my jam. But
Yeah, understood.
I'm more like history. I like history, reading about history a lot.
Okay. I've talked about this series so many times in this podcast, but have you ever read Ken Follett's Century Trilogy?
I have not.
I love that one. I really love that one.
Okay.
Have you read any Ken Follett stuff? Pillars of the Earth is what he's really known for.
I don't think I have. I know
Okay.
that we have some here at the house.
Yeah.
So I think my husband has read it.
He writes a lot of like espionage thrillers, which I have not read any of
Okay.
those. And then Pillars of the Earth and its sequel are about building a cathedral over the course of generations. But the Century Trilogy, each book in the trilogy, it's World War I, World War II, and then the Cold War. And
Oh,
it
okay.
focuses on 4 or 5 families, and it goes through like 2 or 3 generations of each of those families through the course of these 3 wars. And I think they're amazing
Oh,
books.
wow.
So if you're
Yeah.
a
I would probably.
historical fiction buff, you might want to check that out.
Yeah.
I got a temporary subscription to Marvel Unlimited, which means I can read all the Marvel comics I want.
Oh,
know.
does my husband know about this?
No, I haven't told him. You want me to? Let me call him up.
Yeah.
So no, graphic novels are not your thing at all.
No, I've read graphic novels, like Persepolis.
Yeah, yeah.
I like Persepolis.
Yeah.
There's one called. I think it's just called Immigrant.
Okay.
And that was sort of a nonfiction book about immigration and super informative. And it's in graphic novel form. And so I do like the format.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally support it. Like, I know that some people are like, a lot of patrons sometimes are anti-graphic novel.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great format. So
I do too, and I really think the Youth Media Awards have done a lot to elevate it over the last several years, nominating things and making it so it's like for those people who that's really important to. It's like, well, it's an award winner, so now you have to read it. So I think that's great.
Yeah.
My son has been watching every day. He's been watching Draw Every Day with JJK. It's done by Jared Krasaka. Do you know who that is?
I don't, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, he wrote like Hey Kiddo is one of his big graphic novels, and the Lunch Lady series and all that. So my son has been really loving that every day. But I've been reading a lot of Marvel comics, and I just finished an Incredible Hulk run. Are you a fan of the Incredible Hulk?
Well, Nick, I know who the Incredible Hulk is.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yes, my husband is a Marvel guy.
Okay.
So he's more Marvel rather than, is it DC? Is that the other one?
Look at you dropping all these facts. Pretty
All
good.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
My work here is done.
Yeah, yeah. And then finally, I'm listening to a Star Trek audiobook on a R2-D2 cassette player, and it's called
What?
Gulliver's Fugitives. This is the kind of nerdy stuff that happens when I don't feel like digging into something
Oh.
really heavy. So, what's on your list? Has there been any books that you've been really wanting to get to that you haven't yet?
There's been a book that was on my list that I actually got a Lucky Day thing
Okay.
on Libby, so I was able to read that, Dear Edward by Ann Napolitano.
Yeah. Okay. Is that
That was super good, super good.
okay? Barnes and Noble had that picked as their book club of the month pick, and I've been reading a lot of those. So I plan to read it, and I haven't got to it yet. So you recommend it?
I do.
What's it about?
A boy that he's the sole survivor of a plane crash.
Oh.
And
Does he have a hatchet with him? Because that's really helpful.
Unfortunately, he does not have a hatchet, and unfortunately, he's rescued and doesn't need to survive on his own.
Oh, okay.
So a little bit different, but
Yeah.
it's super good. It's touching. I like
Yeah.
books that
Okay. Pull at the old heartstrings, sure.
pull out the old heartstrings. Yeah,
Okay.
so that was really good. And then,
Nice.
and then I've just been doing Anne of Green Gables.
Sure.
So
Yeah, and that's your kids are digging that as well.
they are digging that. Yeah, and there's 8 books, so I've got the next.
Wow. Yeah. You're
whatever.
pretty much set for all your
I'm
quarantine.
I'm good for quarantine. Yeah.
So are these the kind of books that you would have liked when you were in junior high? What were you into back in junior high?
Oh my gosh, Nick. No, I probably would not have appreciated them in junior high.
Okay.
You know, before junior high, I was a huge fan of the Babysitters Club.
Oh yeah.
And so whenever I see Babysitters Club books come across the desk now, I'm like, oh my goodness, like it takes me right back. And I'm like, I remember this cover. I remember this art. So that's always fun.
Yeah. Well, that could be a graphic novel for you right there. Raina Telgemeier's been
Yes.
writing new versions in graphic novels. So
She sure has. Yeah, I love it.
So Babysitter's Club. What about music? What kind of music were you into in junior high? Can't remember.
I don't.
Is it too nerdy? You don't want to share it?
I was trying to think of what I was into.
Uh-huh.
I can't remember. I can't.
Okay.
I honestly can't remember.
All right.
I did play the flute.
Oh, okay.
So
Do you still play the flute?
I do. I can.
Wow,
Yeah,
okay.
I can. I can break it out every now and then. But I've been trying to get my daughter. My daughter plays the violin,
Uh-huh.
and so I was like, "Whoa, we should do some duets."
Definitely.
But
She doesn't
she
want
hasn't taken me up on that. Yeah, I don't know why, but yeah. So probably whatever I was playing on my flute at the time. I don't know. It's such a
to.
dork.
Big into flute music in junior high. All right. What about your who was your celebrity crush then?
Celebrity crush
when you were a
in
teen.
junior high.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Oh.
I was at the height of that
Oh,
JTT.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
jealous of his hair. He had that cool, like long, cool hair.
The bowl cut, sort of like
Yeah.
the long bowl cut, not
Yeah,
the.
he rocked it. He rocked it. The thing is, though, my hair will never. I could grow my hair out for years, and it would never go down. It would just keep going up. It
Yeah,
would be the tallest hair possible, so I could never do that.
yeah.
All right, JTT, that's respectable. That's
So,
great.
but okay, I think it's only fair. Your celebrity crush.
Oh, I've said it before. It was Terry Hatcher. It was
Oh.
Terry Hatcher from like Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman era. Terry
Yeah.
Hatcher, most
Okay.
definitely, and Jenny Garth from 90210.
Okay.
Yep.
No, see, I never did 90210.
Oh, I have a whole podcast about 90210. So if you wanna, I do. So if you wanna discover it right now,
Deep dive on Nick.
you can do a rewatch with me and my friend Kendra. Go through every episode. But yeah,
Nick.
yeah, I know. You learn things. You learn things on these off the books episodes.
You sure do. Yeah. So you have another podcast.
I do. Yeah, just the two.
Just the two. And I heard that Eric has. Does Eric have 2?
He has many. So Eric does one called Is It Classic? Does It Rock? Where they go through classic rock things. He has a bad movie podcast called 3 Nice Things.
3 Nice Things. Yep.
Yeah, and he has a video game music remix podcast called Radio 64, which actually airs on the Angelica radio station every Monday.
Really.
So you can
Really.
check it out there. And
That's
one more. He's got an X-Men podcast called Previously on X-Men. He's a busy guy. He's a busy guy. What do you
He is a busy guy. Yeah, I have one podcast.
Do you? Tell me about it.
I do have a podcast. My sister and I started it. It's called Never Found, Never Forgotten, and we talk about missing persons cases. And
see, here's the thing. I knew that, and I'm glad, because otherwise I definitely would have made a snarky joke about it, and then I would have felt bad when you told me what the subject was about. But because I knew ahead, I was
snarky comment?
Yeah.
Like what?
Oh, I don't know.
Give me your best snarky comment.
About that title? Tell me the title again.
Never Found, Never Forgotten. My sister came up with it.
Oh. Yeah, see, no, I can't because I know what the subject is. So anything I say would just seem insensitive. So,
yeah.
How long have you been doing this?
I think we started in October, but then she's abandoned me.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm on my own. I'm a one-woman show now.
Okay.
And it's a lot of work.
It is. Yeah.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
So I cannot imagine having more than one.
I know. I don't know how he does it. So I mean, yours must be pretty research heavy then.
Yeah. So one of the cases that I was most excited about is a local-ish case. A kid from Addison, New York.
Yeah.
And I got in contact with his mom. His mom reviewed the script for me, and then it was a 2-part episode because I actually did a phone interview with her. So
so that was like raising awareness about this sort of thing.
Yeah, raising awareness and keeping the attention on the cases, because I feel like after so long, the media cycle is just so fast, and but there are still people grieving and missing someone, and I just can't imagine that pain. I can't imagine the pain of missing a loved one and not knowing where they were and not knowing if they were okay.
That's horrendous. That would be the worst. That would be the worst thing. The uncertainty would be awful. Wow. So that's that's much heavier than just looking at Jason Priestley's IMDb page, which is the research that I have to do for 90210. Yours is a lot heavier.
Yeah.
But is it a weekly show?
Yeah, I try to be weekly. When this quarantine thing hit, I went for 3 weeks with nothing. It was just silence for me.
Yeah.
I couldn't find the motive. I was in the process of trying to figure out working from home and balancing all of that. I couldn't even think about it. So
yeah, I was really glad that Eric and I were a few weeks ahead, when we had to stop working. So it was we had a couple episodes in the can, so we didn't have to instantly be how do we, so. That was nice. So say the title again and where people can find it.
Never Found, Never Forgotten. And you can listen to it wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's get into it's National Library Week here. So let's talk a little bit about libraries past. Did you grow up local? Are you ready?
I did. I grew up in Whitesville.
Okay.
So super local.
Yeah, definitely. Were you a big library user as a kid?
Not so much as a kid. When I got to the age, I think I was 11 or 12 when my mom would let me walk by myself
on the mean streets of Whitesville.
On the mean streets of Whitesville.
Cool.
Yeah. I just got this West Side Story sort of vision in my head. But yeah, so I was 11 or 12 and I would go to my sister and I went to the library. We got our library cards, and I think it was right around the time that the new library opened in Whitesville.
Okay.
The newer building.
Nice.
I don't know if that dates me at all.
I don't know.
But yeah, and so we would spend many summer days walking to the library, picking out books.
See,
I probably would use the computers to research JTT facts.
Sure, of course. I never really was a huge library user until my later years. I remember as a little kid going with my dad and checking out records and coming home and listening to Sesame Street records that we got from the library.
Oh, really?
I remember that, but I don't remember going and checking out a ton of books outside of I had a paper that I had to write or something like that. It wasn't a let's go to the library situation.
Yes,
but
so
libraries then weren't really programming heavy either.
No, that's true.
Go and get your books and leave. So it was a different landscape. But
Yeah, so yeah, it wasn't until I was probably 11 or 12 when I started using the public library heavily.
Yeah.
I used my school library a lot.
Okay.
And I remember, this is another dorky story about me, but I remember the library back then was sort of divided into the elementary side and the high school side.
Okay.
So that's how it is in my mind anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I had read almost everything on the elementary side. I had sort of outgrown that, and they wouldn't let me check out books from the other side because I think
Really?
I think I was only in like 5th grade or something.
Okay.
And so my mom had to write a note like, please let Melanie check out books from wherever she wants to check out books.
How long have you been working in libraries?
So I've been at Alfred. I just had my 5-year anniversary on April 12th.
Oh, okay.
5 years there. And then I was at Scholes at Alfred University before that.
Oh, okay. What years were you in Scholes?
I was only there for 6 months when the job at Alfred came up. Okay. So I left.
What year was that then?
2014.
Okay. All right.
2014 into 2015, yeah.
So like years and years before that, I worked in the Scholes building because I worked in a public library in Michigan all through college, and then afterwards I started working at Herrick Memorial Library in Alfred and was there for about 2 years. But for a lot of the time that I was there, that building was closed while they were doing a major renovation, and so our offices and our circulation area and all that was operating out of Scholes. So most of the time that I worked there, worked at Herrick, was actually in the Scholes building. So
interesting.
But I had a lot of good times at that job, and I wasn't really familiar with Alfred before. I got that job right out of college. Like I was a December grad, and I started that job in January, like fresh out of college. And so I wasn't really familiar with Alfred, but I really loved the town. Like I had a really nice time working there, and I mean I think the food in Alfred was great. Is it still pretty good food?
Yeah, the food in Alfred is great. Yeah. I love Alfred. What's interesting is, so my first job out of college, I got hired at the Alfred Montessori School.
Okay.
And so I was working there, and then I realized that I didn't. This is terrible. I realized that I didn't like children.
You know, you have a couple, right?
I do. I love my own dearly.
Okay.
And my husband and I, we were engaged at the time. We had just gotten engaged, and I came to him and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I think I have to be honest with you. I don't think I want children." And he was like, "No, I think it's just your job." And but anyhow, that might be too personal.
No.
But so I worked in Alfred for quite some time after college.
Okay.
And so then I sort of felt like I was coming back, like it was coming full circle. I got hired at Scholes, and it was wonderful there. Everyone was so supportive and amazing, and I learned so much. And then got hired at the Box of Books. And
were you hired right as director right from the start?
Yes, I was. Yeah.
Did you replace Jan Porter, or was there somebody?
I replaced Eliza.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
So she was after Jan.
Okay.
Yep.
Jan Porter was on our library board for many years.
Yes. And Jan reads at the Alfred Montessori for kiddos over there.
That's great.
So yeah, it's kind of like come full circle, like back to where I started. So
yeah, that's interesting.
But I love it there. It's great.
Do you have a favorite? Like, what's your favorite local hangout spot in Alfred?
The library, of course.
I stumped you. No, I mean, like, if you're gonna go like on a break or lunch or something, where's your go-to?
So I always eat lunch. Like, I love the collegiate's food.
Yeah.
I like a BLT from the collegiate.
When I worked there, it was before the fire, and so it was still in that corner space, like right across from your library there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's much fancier now than it was in 2006 or whenever that was.
Yeah, so I don't remember it. Okay. Well, I remember like walking by it, but I never ate there.
Okay.
Back then.
Well, a very different vibe. I mean, the new one is so open and has the outdoor seating and stuff.
The new one, well, new-ish.
Yeah.
That was the sub shop. Alfred sub shop.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I loved that sub shop.
Yes, I did too.
We would go there and get those spicy Stearns chicken salads. Did you ever have
Yes.
those? Oh my
No,
gosh.
the Collegiate still, they still make them.
Oh, do they?
Yes.
See, but
Yes.
I don't eat meat anymore, so it would just be like spicy lettuce, which I don't think would
Spicy.
be
Yeah,
great.
that's yeah.
But
The Stern salad.
I
Yeah.
loved that sub shop, and then the terracotta used to be like a buy one get one free sandwich on Tuesdays, and so like every Tuesday, most of the library would go down and like make sure we had even numbers, so that we could do the old buy one get one free sandwich. But I still love their sandwiches and coffees and that sort of thing.
I do too.
That's usually where I end up if I'm rolling through Alfred. That's where I
it's nice because it's nice there because I feel like you can be there like by yourself.
Yeah.
Where at the Collegiate, like you feel like you have to be with at least another person.
Yeah.
I do. It's weird.
You don't like to go by yourself? I don't really like to go by myself to a restaurant. And if I do, I definitely have a book and usually headphones.
Yeah. Yeah. Ditto.
Yeah.
But I feel like the booths at
They're huge.
Collegiate are huge.
Yeah.
So I feel bad taking up
Yeah.
a whole table when there's usually like people waiting.
Yeah. Every
So
one of
it's
those booths is bigger than the lifeboats on the Titanic. They're huge.
Yeah. They're gigantic.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
You can fit a crew in there.
I
But so I feel more comfortable
Yeah.
eating by myself at Terracotta because
see.
you know.
Yeah. Well, then you just look smart. You're just sitting there in a
Yes.
coffee shop reading a
Scholarly.
book. People are like, oh, she's
Reading.
got something important going on. She's probably writing poetry or something.
Yeah. Yeah, the Terracotta is nice. It sometimes I sort of think of it as an extension of our library because like if we need space, we'll meet upstairs or
Yeah.
I'll have a meeting there at the Terracotta.
Yeah, we've had quite a few of our book clubs in Wellsville across the street at the Creative Arts Center.
Yes.
So kind of the same vibe.
Yes, the Creative Arts Center.
Yeah. I mentioned this only offhandedly there a minute ago, but it is Poetry Month. Are you a poetry fan?
I am.
Really?
Well,
See, I'm
some
not. I'm
poetry.
not. It's like every month we do, or every April I try to read a couple, and we always do a couple special episodes. But it's not something that I'm like, oh, let's see what's new in poetry.
Right. Okay. Yes. So, like I love Emily Dickinson.
Okay.
Like classic.
Sure.
But I found a new poet sort of recently, like a couple years ago, Nikita Gill.
Okay.
And she writes these beautiful poems. She also wrote a book. The title escapes me right now, but it's about like she sort of re-envisions fairy tales, but with like strong female characters.
Nice. That would be quite a change from most fairy tales.
Yes. And she writes a lot of poetry, and I can't do like the abstract poetry. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
where I can't figure out what exactly they're talking about.
Yeah.
I have to have some sort of context going into it. But yes. Yeah. So Nikita Gill, I really like her.
I think I've read a lot of Joyce Carol Oates poetry. I started reading that like every year since she visited the library. So I just read one of hers called Angel Fire, which was also pretty good. And we usually do an episode on one of the novels in verse. So this year we did Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds, which was a great book.
Oh yes,
very good.
I don't think I've read that one yet, but I love Jason Reynolds.
Yeah, it was really good. I read his Miles Morales Spider-Man book and didn't really like it, so I didn't really check out his other stuff. But yeah, we did that for this, and we all Eric and then Malik, who works at the library, always joins us for these episodes, and we all just loved it. So yeah, it was
I love novels in verse.
Yeah.
Like I really like that. I'm like, wow, it takes a skilled writer to do that, I think.
We did one on Kwame Alexander's crossover a few years back.
Ooh.
Have you read his books?
Yep.
Yeah. When we were at the ALA conference, Eric always takes those books when we do book clubs with ICS. He always takes those Kwame Alexander books because the kids always seem to really like them. And one time it really upset the girl because there's some death in the book and everything. And we ran into Kwame Alexander at the ALA conference, and Eric told that story. And Kwame Alexander was like, get your phone out. I'm going to record a video. And he recorded a video for this girl who, a teenage girl who was regular at the library and was like, I'm sorry the book made you sad. And,
oh my gosh, it's so amazing.
This really personal video for her that was it was such a cool thing. So that made me appreciate his work even more because he seemed like such a cool guy.
Yeah. So you mentioned Joyce Carol Oates. Let's talk
Yeah.
about Joyce Carol Oates because
Okay.
did you ask Pauline this question? You asked Pauline if she was a Joyce Carol Oates fan?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a fan of Joyce Carol Oates.
Okay. I bought her a tuna sandwich once. I don't know if I ever.
Yes, you did tell me
Oh,
that.
okay. I don't usually tell people, so.
You did tell me that because
Yeah.
so I came to when she visited the Wellsville Library a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I was there in the audience.
Okay.
She signed my book. There's a picture of you, Joyce, and I, and
Really?
me being super dorky
Okay.
and excited and fangirling. But yeah. So Joyce Carol Oates. In the podcast with Pauline, you said that like in preparation for her coming, you
Yeah.
read like all of her stuff back to back.
I read a ton of her stuff in that year. Yeah, Mud Woman is one that has stuck with me the most because that is a truly upsetting book.
I don't think I've read that one.
Yeah, well, there's an audiobook of that. The audiobook is great, but it is definitely one that just messes with your mind.
Yeah, so I have mad respect for you that you were able to do that because I can only read like one Joyce Carol Oates book.
Well, that's what I would do now. Reading so many back to back. But I'll tell you, I mean, it really did pay off because I was able to talk to her about a lot of
Everything.
stuff. So I was
Yeah.
glad that I did that. But it was a hard time.
Yeah, what's her newest book called?
Oh, boy, she puts them out so many.
I know.
There was a Hazards of Time Travel, but I think there's one after that.
There's one after that. Yep.
Okay. My wife is currently reading Carthage, which I haven't read, but as I said,
So Carthage was pretty good. I liked
Okay.
that one.
Carthage is what she was writing when she was in Wellsville, so she wrote some of that right in town.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
That's good to know. I'm trying to find a list of her books to
Yeah.
try.
There's a
Figure-
million of them.
There's a million of them.
She's got some YA books that are really good too, like Freaky Green Eyes. I think is a great
Freaky
book.
Green Eyes is great.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find this book.
Yeah,
There was
I know.
one anyhow, but I did not find that one very enjoyable. I thought I
Oh.
would. I wanted to, but so
You know-
I find that happens with her books a lot. Like
Oh,
I'll
yes.
be like really excited for it, and I want to like it more than I do. So I say I'm a huge fan, but it's sort of like a love-hate relationship that I have.
Agreed. I think it's just more that I have respect for her as a writer. because
Yes, absolutely.
I think it's probably, honestly, it's probably 60-40 that I don't particularly like the book, but
Yes.
I always appreciate them. Like it's always an experience.
Yeah, so I just said to one of my staff members, she knows that I like Joyce Carol Oates and My Life is a Rat. That was the one.
Okay.
Yeah. I wanted to like it way more than I did. And it had so much potential, I felt, but it fell short for me. But I said to her, I constantly say I'm a Joyce Carol Oates fan, but I'm finding that I don't really like many of her books.
Blonde
But
is amazing.
I think you nailed it on the head, though. Like you have respect for her as an author and a writer, and
I don't know that I've ever left a Joyce Carol Oates book feeling like better. You know what I mean? Like
right, right.
they're I mean they're intense, but I think Blonde is really exceptional if you haven't read.
Blonde is amazing.
Yeah. Just from start to finish. Eric's favorite is Jack of Spades. Did you ever read that one?
Oh no, I have not.
That's a really cool one. That is about a man who writes kind of like a James Patterson-esque, easy thriller kind of books. But then
Okay.
he has this dark persona called Jack of Spades who writes really dark, like horror kind of stuff.
Ooh.
And he hides that from everyone, from his family and everything, doesn't know that he has this dark persona. And somebody takes him to court about those other books, and it sort of threatens to expose that he's also Jack of Spades. And it really
interesting.
unhinges him. And it's just, it's a quick read. It's a good Halloween book. But it's one of her more powerful books, I think, probably because it is short, and a lot of them are not.
Yeah.
But
They're-
that, and she has one called I'll Take You There, which,
Yep.
have you read that one?
Yes.
And see, that
I like
one,
that one a lot.
I largely didn't like while I was reading it, but the way she resolves it in the end sort of gave me a better appreciation for the book, like retroactively. So
Right,
yeah.
right, yeah. I find that with a lot of her books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Blonde is probably one of my favorites by her.
Yeah.
Only because she's able to take something like, it's not a biography of Marilyn Monroe, but
you can also see the research. You can see how close it is to being a biography.
Yes, and you can really feel for Marilyn as a person, not as a, know.
Yeah. It is. There's something about that book that just doesn't have any walls. It just feels like you're right inside. Just experiencing everything that's going on. And of course, I mean, We Were the Mulvaneys, I think, is beloved for good reason. I think that deserves that.
Yes, that was my first ever Joyce Carol Oates book.
That's a good starter.
It is a good starter.
Start. Yeah.
But I read My Sister, My Love.
Oh, okay. I haven't read that one.
That one's like sort of loosely based on John Benet Ramsey.
Oh, okay.
And her brother, and I felt like that was sort of up there with Blonde, like that she sort of opened up that whole situation, and you could feel for the different people, like where, like the John Benet Ramsey, like everybody has these preconceived ideas of the family and stuff, and so that kind of that was interesting. It was very interesting.
I think that she has a really unique way of leaning into the ugliness of the world.
Yeah.
Where I think a lot of writers touch on that, but then get out of there quickly. I think it's like she gets to the ugly part and then just pushes
stays
right
there.
Yeah, but just pushes right through it. Talks about it so much that you kind of come out the other side rather than backing away from it. You have to, like, the only way out is through.
Through it. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I guess we should just start a Joyce Carol Oates podcast.
Maybe.
We'll just do a spin-off where we just talk about Joyce Carol Oates.
Joyce Carol Oates books, like, and how depressed we are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We need.
Yeah, I don't recommend a Joyce Carol Oates book binge during quarantine.
No, absolutely not.
Good.
Yeah.
Have you been doing things in quarantine to cheer yourself up? Have you got any new hobbies or projects you're working on?
I knew you were going to ask me this question. Nick, do you want to know the dorkiest thing that I'm doing right now?
I absolutely do, yes.
Okay. So I have a work iPad, an iPad from work, and on there I am playing so many games of Words with Friends against the iPad. So I'm not even playing. Yeah, I'm not even playing with friends.
Okay.
I'm playing against the iPad.
Okay.
But here's the thing. This is so dorky of me. So I realized you could put it on different modes. You can make it easy, medium, hard, extra hard. On the regular, normal level, I can beat the iPad every single time.
Okay.
So my goal was I need to consistently, every time, beat the iPad on hard. And then I'll work my way up to extra hard.
See,
it's been a failure.
This has a making of a Joyce Carol Oates novel where you get so obsessed with this that you start to go crazy. Exactly. Yeah. I've been playing a lot of Scrabble Go. So similar, but I mostly just play with friends. I haven't done I've done a few like the solo tournaments, but I mostly just like playing with people. So here's what
I don't like about playing with people.
Yes. Pressure? Do you feel pressure to have good words?
No, I don't feel pressure. I get really annoyed when they take too long to make a move.
Oh, sure. Well, that's why you got to have 5 or 6 games going at once. You just kind of cycle through.
Well, see, the iPad, he plays instantly. So, I'm right back there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. You prefer the company of machines. Got it. And yet you're not a sci-fi fan, so that's interesting.
Maybe.
What about movies or TV shows? Anything like that you've been getting into?
So me and my girls watched Anne with an E.
Sure,
we loved that.
Uh-huh.
So my husband and I always try to pick a show that we watch together.
Nice.
So we watched Downton Abbey that way.
Okay.
But during quarantine, we were watching Mad Men.
Oh, I loved Mad Men.
Do you?
Yes.
Okay, so we're only on season 1.
Okay.
No, I think we just started season 2
Let me tell you everything that happens. So Don, just kidding.
Does he stop being such a...
Oh, boy. I'm going to plead the fifth on that one.
this man is so awful.
He just lies to everybody all the time.
Lies to everyone. And so my husband often jokes about it when we're watching it that this is not the show for me to watch during quarantine.
Yeah.
It is a good show. It's a great show. And I love so mid-century modern furniture and the whole aesthetic I love. And so I love watching the show, and I'm like, oh my gosh, look at that painting, or oh my gosh, look at that chair.
The production design on that show is amazing. I mean, they just don't miss a trick, you know. Everything is exactly right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's an excellent show, and I think it stays pretty consistent throughout the run. I think it definitely has its peaks, but I don't think there's ever a time when you're like, oh my gosh, just get on with it. So that's fun.
I really like the character development of Peggy.
Yeah.
That's been good. And so I was hoping for some character development for Don.
Yeah.
But so far, nothing.
Okay. Hang in there.
Okay. That's what another friend of ours said.
Yeah. We've been revisiting another, kind of a contemporary of Mad Men. We've been watching through Arrested Development, trying to catch up with season 5, which I've never seen.
Nope, I've never seen Arrested Development.
That'd be a good quarantine show for you. I think that holds up really well.
Do you know, so this is, I'm a huge fan of The Office. Okay. And every night as I go to sleep, I watch The Office.
Wow.
So how Phil says that he's gone to less than 100, more than 50 Fish concerts. I've seen The Office less than 100, but more than 50 times.
Wow.
All the way through. And it's it's so comforting to me. So when the world is falling apart, I just turn on The Office. And sometimes I'll even be like, I'm going upstairs to watch The Office. And my family knows, Mom needs a minute to.
That's funny. My friend Kendra, who does the 90210 podcast with me, is the exact same way. There's never a time when she's not currently in the middle of watching The Office.
Yes, I'm the same way.
She's watching The Office, and then she takes breaks to eat and go to work and stuff. But other than that, she's watching The Office. She's probably watching it right now. Honestly, I could text her and find out, but I bet she is.
I literally will finish the last season and then start right back over. And
how about the British Office? Have you ever given that a shot?
I have not. I have not, but I am listening to the Office Ladies podcast.
So is Kendra.
Is she loving it?
She is. Yeah, she is.
Yeah, so I am too. I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
But when they talk about season 1 and do the rewatch, they make a lot of references to the British Office and different nods they sort of give to the British Office in their show. So
season 1 of the American version is very close to season 1 of the British, especially the pilot.
Yes,
is very, very close. I think the thing with that's hard if you're a fan of the regular Office to try, the U.S. Office, to try to go watch the original. It's a lot more mean-spirited,
Okay.
The way that the Jim character, who's Tim in the UK, picks on Gareth, who's Dwight, is much more mean than the Jim Dwight dynamic, and it sort of gets through that. I mean, I do think it's worth a watch. I think it's.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to watch it. I do like Parks and Rec.
I like Parks and Rec. Yeah.
I've watched that. But The Office is my go-to art.
Yeah.
So every night as I'm falling asleep, I'll be watching The Office.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
There's no other. I mean, I always loved when they did the the webisodes and stuff. I think those are pretty quality too. Have you watched all those?
I don't think I have, Nick.
Oh, okay. Well, you can get them all on a disc if you look it up. I can't remember what it's called, but you can. I don't know if they're on streaming, but you can get a disc of all of the webisodes that they made.
Oh my gosh,
they're pretty good. There's one where it's the accountants and it's Oscar and Angela and Kevin are trying to figure out where missing money went. And
they talk about this on the Office Ladies podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I've been going online and watching the bloopers.
Yeah.
Because they don't have those on Netflix.
Yeah. We have the whole series on DVD, which I'm really glad we do because the bonus features are just.
The bonus features, yes.
They're so good. They're so good. You should get those webisodes. It's like a nice little mini season of The Office that you haven't seen 100 times. So.
Well, now I know what I'm going to do for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I guess
Got
so.
my day laid out for me. Yeah.
What? Give me some of the movies in your top 10. You don't have to give me all 10, but just give me a couple.
Nick, here's the thing. I'm not a movie watcher.
Interesting. By that I mean not interesting, but
yeah, I am not a movie watcher. I don't know why. My husband is a huge movie watcher, and like last year he did this thing where it was his goal to watch 100 movies in the year.
I remember that. I remember him talking about that at Rotary. Yeah.
And so he is a huge movie watcher. During this quarantine, he did
you guys are really opposites attract kind of situation.
We are,
right?
Yes. He's the sci-fi movie guy.
Yeah.
I'm the book nerd.
He's also very tall, and you're short.
Not, yeah. So. Yeah, the opposite.
Yeah.
Over this quarantine, we did watch 12 Angry Men.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Which I loved. I absolutely loved that.
I've always wanted to do that play, but getting 12 like willing, talented male actors to do that is basically impossible.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the play is great as well.
Yeah, that was really good. I was really glad that I let him convince me to watch that. Nice. He's always trying to get me to watch movies. We did recently watch Knives Out.
Yeah. Okay.
Which was fun.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
I thought it was fun. We were just talking about that last week with the library staff. Yeah, everybody liked that.
But yeah, I'm not a movie watcher.
Fan. Okay. All right.
Well, no, I'm a dork. I'm too busy playing Scrabble against my iPad.
I guess so. Yeah, you got your robotic Words with Friends tournament. You don't have time for anything else. So I guess I can't. The question we've been asking everybody is their favorite '80s movie. So I guess I can't really ask.
No. Okay, you can ask me this because I do Pretty in Pink. Like I'm totally Molly Ringwald fan all the way. Yeah.
All right. Pretty in Pink.
Breakfast Club. Yeah.
Yep.
Any of those 80s movies do you know what my all-time I think this is an 80s movie.
All right. I'll fact check you.
Footloose.
Oh, Footloose. Yeah, well that's definitely 80s. That's 1984. Yeah. Yeah, little Kevin Bacon, Footloose. Yep.
So many good things came out of the 80s.
I guess
84.
So. I guess so. That's the time.
Me and Footloose.
Yep, just the two of you.
Kevin Bacon. Yeah, that's like my all-time 80s movie.
Yeah.
Footloose.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's a solid pick. This question I feel like has provided a unique insight to everybody I've asked it to because nobody has really repeated a movie, and I'm always like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. So it's
interesting.
Yeah, it's a good one. Are you excited about Top Gun 2? While we're on the topic.
You know, Nick, I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay.
Top Gun 1, like, is that Tom Cruise?
It's Tom Cruise, yeah. Tom Cruise, Val Kilmer, Anthony Edwards. Yeah.
Meg Ryan.
Also Meg Ryan.
I've never watched it.
What about Joe versus the Volcano, speaking of Meg Ryan? Have you ever seen that?
No.
I love it. We just rewatched it. I love all those movies with Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, but Joe versus the Volcano is such a weird... It feels like you're watching a play, and it's just such a weird movie that I like it. I've seen it a bunch.
I'll give it
I think you should. We just rewatched it, and I think it holds up, but it's definitely one that's like to be experienced. You know what I mean? It's not like action-packed or anything like that. It's just you got to sort of soak in the weirdness of it. So that's my plug for Joe versus the Volcano. I'll give that a try. Okay.
I'll give it a try. I'll report back.
I think that's wise. Well, Melanie, thanks so much for joining me today on this crazy episode of the All the Book Show.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Did you have fun?
I did.
Did you learn some things about yourself during this episode?
No, I already knew that I was a dork.
Cool. All right, that's fine. That's fine. All right. Well, stay sane, and hopefully we'll get back to work in our actual building sometime.
Yay! Yes.
All right. Well, thanks again.
Thanks, Nick.
See you next time. Bye.